So we had a wonderful week happening this week because the Mobile World Congress is there.
Yeah.
So we are getting a lot of stuff out of it. So the best thing is Nokia is making a comeback. I think we spoke about Nokia coming in where they came up with one phone and they only released it within China and it was a hit.
And now they are ready to release it to the world.
Oh yeah, now they are ready to release it, and I think the good thing is now they are, I think in a way they are giving up on the Symbian OS and coming into. So what they are trying to do right now is as a public stunt, I feel.
Yeah.
They are bringing back the famous Nokia 3310, so which has been really famous for being reliable.
Everyone was hyped about the phone and everyone wanted it back for some reason.
No, actually, it was a good phone back then. I remember one of my friends dropped his phone while he was traveling in a train. Still, the phone survived.
Yeah.
So it was actually a good phone back then, a 3310. I think it's one of those indestructible phones where you couldn't literally break it.
We are not very sure about the new phone's durability, right?
Nah. So it's nothing to do with the 3310. I think they only embrace the brand.
Yeah.
Because that model is so famous, they name it as 3310. But
I think this phone is also built by a Finland company, right? Nokia was using a Finland company back then also to make their phones.
Yeah. So now people will look for made in Finland. I remember a lot of people ask for this question when they're buying phones. I mean, like we spoke about this as well in like previous episode when Samsung Korean. So that's actually not a distinguished mechanism to see whether it's a good phone or not.
Yeah.
So if you are into Apple devices, all made in China.
Yeah.
So
most of the Samsungs are made in India and
so it's made
many
in,
places.
Yeah, made in India, made in China, made in Vietnam. So it's really difficult for you to say which is which and what's good and what's bad. It's because
I think the company makes sure the quality is the same, right?
So as long as in the manufacturing, especially in this large scale manufacturing, what matters is how well you quality control and how well you do it. So the country doesn't really matter. I mean, if you look at famous clothing brands, most of them are made in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
So would you buy something that says made in Sri Lanka? So again, a question that comes in, like since we are talking about electronics, I remember when I was really small, before when Sirimao Bandaranaike was in power, where there were a lot of restriction in terms of what you can do. We used to make electronic components. Do you believe that, Tilina?
Yeah.
Capacitors. We used to make it here, and I remember when I was small, I had those with me because I was so much into electronics, and I even then it was quite old, but they were really branded, say made in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
And then actually, so I think how many years ago we used to build those things. Now we can't even make a hairpin. I think we had a discussion a little while ago while we were getting ready to come into the studio. So we were talking about why we can't even make a three-wheeler in Sri Lanka, right? Let alone a car. Let's forget about cars, forget about everything. At least a chassis of a three-wheeler where you import rest of the parts and assemble it here.
Yeah.
We don't do it. I mean, so it's not that technically we are not capable, we are, right? So it's just that we don't do it, and we always question about the cost itself. It's not the long. So if you build something in Sri Lanka, if it's done one thing, we get the domain knowledge.
Yeah.
Second thing is we keep the foreign currencies from going out. So it helps us in the long run. It's not going to be short term development, but in the long run. That's what India do, right? Yeah. They partner up with a company, same as China. You cannot have 100% own foreign entity in China or India. So
even the rice crisis we are having right now, the problem is we are not using technology to improve our harvest and everything, right?
I mean, we were talking about Thambiligadiyak when we were coming in, right? So I mean, like yesterday I want to get some Thambili and it was 100 rupees. And Tilina was saying normally they buy it for 10 rupees.
Yeah.
So it's 90 rupee profit on the little bit of a Thambili. So
I think the most of the Asian countries are getting so much yield than us in paddy fields and everything. So we need to invest more on technology in agriculture, I think. Because most of those countries, farmers are, well off and rich.
Yeah.
But the situation in our country is kind of sad about that.
Yeah, because I think in terms of tech, we just give up, right?
Yeah.
We just don't do it, and we are happy buying it from some other country or bringing it in. A lot of people fail to understand, as a country, unless you have things that get built within that country, made within that country, you could not go forward.
Yeah.
I mean, forget about exports, right? At least try to cover basic necessities, right? Rice, vegetables. I mean, if you are coming to a point where we have to import it,
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know. I mean, like, there are people who still can't sell their rice, farmers, giving it at a really marginal cost.
Yeah.
And when these people take it, so the middlemen, they keep a huge something amount of margin.
Yeah.
They have the capability to stock it. And they're the one who's actually making a lot of profits.
Right.
It's not the end consumer who, ultimately get affected.
Yeah.
And then the farmers themselves, like generation after generation, let's say I'm a farmer, I don't want my children to become farmers because, life is hard.
Yeah.
And you can't make your crops, you can't sell them.
It's
right?
not the case in most of the other countries, right?
No, it's not. So it's just policies that in place, how it works, how the economic works, how educated people are in terms of how these things are happening. It's just everyone wants things for cheap, but they don't see the picture in terms of long term. So what we right now try to do is tax everything out. I think that's what they think that would work. But in the short term, short running, yeah, of course, you might be able to cover your budget deficit. But in the long run, if your country is not producing anything, if your country is not doing anything, if you have to bring in even the alpenether from China, of course, we can't survive, right?
So if we go back to
The original
MWC,
topic.
LG has this new, I think it's a great phone, G6.
Yeah.
They showed the demos and everything. It's very exciting phone. And Samsung came up with their new tab series called Samsung Book, which runs on Windows.
Yeah.
It's they are to like compete with Surface Books and everything.
Yeah.
I think that series is also will be a hit.
Yeah. So if you go back to the 3310 we were talking about, so if you are really keen on what it is, it's GSM. You get two versions, which is one is single SIM, one is a dual SIM, and the cost is about 40 euros, is it?
Yeah.
So that's about 8,000 rupees in Sri Lanka. And I don't know whether you'll pay that kind of money to get a dumb phone, right? You get two variations. One is the single SIM version, and the other one is a dual SIM version. From the 3310 to this, you get a camera, which the original 3310 didn't, and a color screen.
And most importantly, you will have Snake, the game.
Yes.
Kind of modern version of it.
So let's take a small break. See you after this, and we'll talk more about Nokia and a lot of other things. See you after the break.